Fish.
In this video, I want to show you how to pick apart a classic drift when you're fishing for chinook salmon in a river, how to find the biters, how to find where in the river they're holding, and to do that with bobber and eggs, which is, you know, kind of the classic method these days for targeting a lot of different species, but certainly for chinook. Now, as you know, you can have drifts that come in all kinds of shapes and sizes and flow rates. And so I'm going to try to just pick apart the one that I was fishing on this particular day. And it kind of has three main features where I thought fish could have been holding. One, you had a deep head of the run, very fast moving water, very aerated water. So actually my float, my half ounce, 5/8 ounce float was actually going down in certain parts just because the water was so turbulent. And then as you follow that downstream, you know, you still had pretty strong current. I call that kind of the main part of the drift. It's not as deep as the head, but it's still relatively deep. And, you know, even, you know, further away, you know, 20, 30 feet from the head, you'll often find chinook holding in those waters, especially if there's chinook in the head. They, you know, if there's a good amount, they won't all fit there. And so there'll be chinook further down as well in the drift. Now, you don't want to follow a drift all the way down to the tail out. Typically, you're not going to find fall chinook in the tail out unless they're moving up and traveling, not going to bite, or they're kind of like, you know, getting ready to spawn. They're hanging out in softer flows. Again, not going to bite. So kind of ignore that. Once it starts to really shallow out in the drift, then you're probably too far down, not going to find holding chinook down there. The other main feature is the soft edges around that main current. A lot of times these fish, you know, they're sitting in the current and they see something holding, you know, like your eggs in the soft edges, and they're going to pop out of the current and grab it. Other times they're actually in those soft edges because they're looking for a break from on their journey upriver. Often you're gonna find chinook, you know, by fishing the soft edges, whether they're there or in the current, and they see it and they want to grab your offering. If there's one place that you will find chinook of those three, it is often that very head of the run, deepest part, fast moving current. A lot of times they're not in the very fastest part, but they're just outside that super fast moving water. And so yeah, that could be a great place to target chinook as well. And again I'm going to show kind of picking it apart little bit by little bit. All right, so here I'm using probably, I don't know, 4 to 5 foot total length of my leader from bobber stop to my eggs and the terminal offering, and I'm just kind of letting it drift on down in the main current. Sometimes a little bit on my side of the main current, sometimes a little bit on the other side of the main current, but still kind of in that main current. Let it drift for 20, 30 feet until it kind of starts to shallow out. And what I was finding here is, as I was getting bit, it was the wrong species.
You get a takedown?
There was a lot of cutthroat trout that were hammering it, which can be super frustrating, right? Your float goes down, aggressive like a fish take, and then comes right back up. And only if you know, kind of get lucky enough, you can sometimes hook that fish and get it in, and like, oh, it's a little cutthroat trout or a sculpin or something like that. You can kind of tell, you know, if you fish a lot of floating eggs, you know, just when it's bottom versus when it's a fish, it just looks different. And you also got the soft edges, right? Which is, again, great place to start. You know, it's you're not having to rebait a lot because your float's not in the current. Your eggs aren't getting ripped apart by the current, so you know, you can kind of usually if something's in there, you know, you get bit pretty quickly, and so it's a great place to rule out right away and go, okay, there's some easy to pick off chinook sitting here, some of the easiest places to get bit, and so, you know, it's easy to figure out exactly what depth we're at and all of that, and just, you know, make it happen. So, you know, I fished that pretty good, and I was like, okay, there's nothing in here. If there's something in here, I would have got bit by now. Pretty confident, can rule that out, which really leaves one more place for them to hide, and of course it's probably the most obvious place. And I fished it a little bit at the beginning didn't really understand how deep it was, and that's a common mistake that I can make, or a trap I can fall into, and a lot of other anglers I notice as well, you know, which is don't assume you know how deep a particular spot is. Keep lengthening your bobber stop, keep sliding it up your main line, keep going until you either find bottom, snag on something, find a fish that bites. Keep going. Don't assume you know how deep it is. So I finally get the right depth, and I get bit pretty quickly, and of course I miss it. Right? So I'm like, oh man, I'm pretty sure I've been running over this spot a bunch. That looked fishy. Come back, the eggs aren't in great shape. I go back and rebait. I'm like, okay. Oh, man. Next cast after I rebait, I make the same cast where I got bit again in the same spot. And that fish bites, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's fish on. You know, give a nice hook set. You know, I've got my drag set pretty tight. Right away, you know, initially, because I want that hook to have maximum penetration into the tough jaws of a big chinook, and then usually I just back it off just a couple clicks on the drag. I know some people they don't believe in touching your drag, but that's how I fight fish. Just back it off just a little bit.
It's a nice one.
I want that fish to be able to run, and he was more than happy to comply as he just screamed downstream.
You wanna get the net for this, Ash? Ash? It's gotta be nicer than that. No 10-pound fish is pulling this much line. Unless he's foul hooked or something. But this thing is like hauling line.
And actually, I was convinced at first that either I had hooked a really big fish, or that I had hooked it somewhere else other than the head, because this fish was really hard to control.
I'm testing the gear. I had to hold him with my thumb. Yeah, and either that he's foul hooked or something, or wrapped in it. But you mean chrome?
And it turned out it was kind of a fatter fish, and he was using that fast current really well to his advantage, because he was screaming line out. At one point, he was headed for some logs on the other side, and I had to put thumb pressure on and just stop him. It was like, all right, something's gonna break, or I'm gonna stop this fish, because I can't let this fish keep going, keep pulling me around the river like this. So super challenging, but super fun battle. And honestly, that's why I love river fishing for chinook. You get these chinook in that are full of energy and fresh from the salt. This fish cut like a saltwater fish, certainly better than some of the fish that you pull from like Marine Area 11 in Puget Sound right before they're about to head upriver. I mean, this fish was primo grade, awesome energy.
Don't try him yet. Let me get closer to him so I can control him a little bit more. You see how he's hooked? Why is he, it's a 10-pound fish, why is he putting so much pressure on me? And this fish feels heavy for some reason. Oh yeah, no, this is a, yeah, it might be mid-teens. He's chrome, completely chrome. I can't really control him. He is hooked in the mouth, but just wait till I can get a little bit better pressure on him.
I think he's getting tired now.
Yeah. Oh, he's a powerful fish.
And that, you know, you're fishing them on lighter tackle than you would, you know, trolling around for them in the salt, and you're in a smaller space. You know, they're just going around the river, pulling you up and down the river. It is so much fun. But I know a lot of folks, you know, they struggle to get them in the river. They struggle to get them on eggs and under a float. A lot of times they resort to, you know, flossing, snagging, and you know, that is what it is. People catch a lot of fish that way, but man, it is so much more fun when you get them to bite, get them to go, and you have that fish on, and you get them in, and you know you did it the right way and did it with a lot of skill. Makes it worthwhile to go after and pursue and drive a few hours to have that experience. So hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you learned something that will help you in the future. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel. And we're gonna have more and more of this content available for you. Drop a question, comment in. If there's something about fall chinook fishing, floating eggs that you'd like me to cover.
I don't know how many fish are in there.
Well, all right, I'll return my egg rod then.
Yeah, so what I think was, I just think we weren't deep enough. That hole was really deep. I was probably 10 feet
Really?
of total leader.
Hope to see you on the water. Take care.